what's up YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video game review. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at, get it in focus, the Elder Scroll 5, if I'm saying that correctly. I don't know how to spell look at Roman numerals. Elder Scroll 5 Skyrim for the Nintendo Switch. Also available on PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Skyrim. That is a name that most gamers have heard before, and this game has been around for a long time. I think like around 2011, and it feels like they released pretty much almost every version, almost every system gets like a version of Skyrim of some sort. The game, because the game's pretty much widely popular though, from its epic gameplay and all to the fact of its mod support. So it was very interesting to see when the game was announced for the Nintendo Switch, when it first was shown at when Switch had its first reveal, the trailer back in October of last year. That's my phone, don't worry about it. So hearing that was one of the first games to come out, or first games announced for the Nintendo Switch, was kind of interesting, considering that Bethesda, for the most part, hasn't really supported a Nintendo system, or at least hasn't supported one in a long time. However, they pretty much skipped the Wii U. So seeing that this game was coming to the Switch was kind of interesting, and for me, I originally thought that this was probably they'll just do one game and then that's it, or anything else. Of course, my opinion kind of changed after they showed off Doom and Wolfenstein, announced Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, which makes me kind of think they might stick around a little bit longer. So finally, after getting my hands on Skyrim, playing it for a bit, trying to take a break from it and constantly continue playing it though, I could say though without a doubt that playing Skyrim on the Switch, it plays and is actually worth trying out though. But is it going to be for everyone? May or may not though. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons for Elder Scrolls Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch version. So we'll start off with the pros. The first one is that all the DLC and content will be in this game. So if you're worried that if you're picking this up and getting the vanilla version of Skyrim, fear not, you're not going to get that, though. You're going to get all the DLCs that have been in the game, though. Plus, interesting enough, you'll get amiibo support as well, which you can use to gain like more items and gears, to even unlocking the Hyrule Shield and Sword and Champion Tonic from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If you don't have those amiibos, fear not, though. You can basically find those items during the game, though. It may take a little bit while, though, but in other words, you don't need the amiibos. If you don't have the amiibos, don't worry, you can still get those items, though. But overall, you get in all the DLCs and content from basically what was in the PS4, the Xbox One, and of course the PC version as well. The next one, of course, is the gameplay, and it is very addictive though. The game, for those who have played Fallout 4 will notice that the gameplay is very similar. Of course, Skyrim came first before Fallout 4 did though, and basically it is it's an action RPG where you're basically doing quests though, and there's a whole lot of quests to unlock, not to mention areas to explore. I mean, the gameplay is very addictive though, and you could very easily get lost in this game, and it could be like a time waster though. It's also worth pointing out that Skyrim does support motion controls, but they are optional. However, the motion controls, as far as I can tell, are kind of like what they were in, say, Breath of the Wild, and of course, and other past Zelda games like Twilight Princess HD, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask 3D. In other words, they're there if you want to use it, but if you don't, you can play it the good old-fashioned traditional way. So motion controls are there, but the gameplay, and of course the gameplay is very addictive. One thing to point out though is that you could see where a lot of influence from this game could be seen in games like Xenoblade Chronicles and Breath of the Wild. In one part in the game, you could hit the minus button on your controller, Pro Controller or Joy-Con, and you can wait a certain time, like if it's like 5 a.m., you can move it up all the way up to like say 8 a.m. and all, which is something that was used in the Xenoblade Chronicles games to basically, let's see what... Oh, and basically, you know, like the whole exploration and all that stuff. So there are some influence from this game that could be seen in games like Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade Chronicles. So, but overall, the gameplay is very, very addictive and fun. And last but not least, though, the portability. It's Skyrim on the go. This is the type of game that could suck a lot of hours out of you, as I said before, though. But I had a hard time with the PS4 version. Not that I hate the game, but it's the kind of game where you basically, you're confined to the TV though, and this is where the advantage of the Switch comes in, where this is a game with so much content in it that you could play a bit when you're at home, or play and then take that Switch to the go, like say if you're on like a lunch break, or if you're on vacation, play a little bit there, take the Switch back home, finish off where you left off. So the idea that you could bring Skyrim with you on the go is really, really, really good. And for an epic RPG, this is where I feel the Switch has the biggest advantage, though. So bringing Skyrim on the go is definitely a plus right there. Alright, we're going to take a bit of a break. And when we come back, we're going to get to the cons for Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a bit of a break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our review of Skyrim, or Elder Scrolls V Skyrim for the Nintendo Switch. And now that I gave you the pros of the games, why don't I give you my cons? So why don't we get started with the cons? Let me get my notes out. Okay, the first con is to point out is the game is still dated. I mean, don't get me wrong, as enjoyable as the game is, there's no doubt about it does show its age. After all, it did come out in 2011. It showed its age even when the special edition came out for the PS4 and the Xbox One. I did a review on the PS4 one. I'll have a link in the description of the video though. And it still shows its age here, even on the Nintendo Switch. And there are some, and even though the Switch isn't nearly as powerful as the PS4, I mean, it still looks good, but obviously it doesn't look nearly as, not nearly as good as looking as the PS4 version. It doesn't look terrible, it doesn't look bad or anything like that. It's just that when compared to the PS4 version, I have to say it doesn't look nearly as good though. Then again, like I said, it's a 2011 game, so it kind of shows its age a little bit. It's also worth pointing out that there are some glitches and some performance issues I ran into with the Switch version. Other than what Skyrim is known for some of their bugs or some audio issues, although I didn't run into a whole bunch in the Switch version, I did run into 2 occasions where, one, when I was moving my character around, the frame rate kind of dropped a little bit, and I think it was in just one area, I don't remember, and suddenly it just went back to its normal 30 frames per second. Another case I ran into was before I enter in into a certain cave though, the game kind of froze for a bit and I had to exit out of the game and restart to my last checkpoint, and the game seemed to be working fine. And I do want to point out this only happened to me just once though as far as the game. So there are some performance issues, but most of them have been minor, and other than those 2 problems though, I haven't run into any issues with the game, even after I downloaded the so-called I think patch or update that came with it once you purchased the game and so on. So it's still dated though. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it is still dated nevertheless. The next one I do want to point out is that there is unfortunately no mod support, at least for now. Unlike the PS4 and the Xbox One version that eventually got mod support, the Switch version doesn't have any whatsoever, or no access to Bethesda's Creators Club, although that thing has been criticized a lot though. So you're not going to get any mod support outside of, say, the amiibos. That's probably the closest thing you're going to get though. Personally, it's not a deal breaker for me though, since I'm not big on mods. I'm not saying I'm against mods, but it isn't really a deal breaker for me. But for those who are hoping to get mod support for the Switch version, you're going to be disappointed, at least for now, until Bethesda decides if they're going to do mod support or not. But as of right now, there's no mod support for the Switch version of Skyrim. And last but not least, despite Skyrim being a good game though, it's pretty much the same game from last year's edition, along with, which is a port from the 2011 with all the DLC and so on. So you're not really, there's nothing really new or anything like that outside of, say, the Champion's Tonic and the Hyrule Shield and the Master Sword. Outside of that, there's really isn't any brand new content in this version though. It's pretty much just the same as last year's edition and so on. So if you missed out on it the first time around, this is going to be new to you. Otherwise, if you played the other versions before, this isn't really anything new at all. So it's pretty much the same game though. Not necessarily a bad thing, but if you played last year's version, you're not going to see a whole lot of new stuff in this version though. Overall, let me get it up here. Overall, Skyrim is still a fun game nevertheless though. I like the addictive gameplay. I like the fact that finally you get the full Skyrim experience and that you could bring it on the go and so on. So it is still a good game though. It still has some of the Bethesda's known for, some of their games to be a little bit buggy and glitchy, although not as much as the Switch version, but sometimes it's still there though. But overall, it's still a great game. I still enjoyed it though. It's the kind of game you can easily get lost and so on. It may not appeal to everybody, especially those who may have played Skyrim like the 100th or 1,000th times though, but if you're new to the game and you just got a Nintendo Switch, it's worth taking a look at though, and it's worth picking up, however. And I will say, these are the kind of games I would like to see more from. I'd like to see more on the Nintendo Switch though. These kind of big, epic, like RPG or adventures games, because I feel like those games basically could take advantage of the Nintendo Switch, especially with its portability and so on. I think those games could really thrive on the system. So hopefully we'll see more of those games. And here's to hoping that Skyrim, along with Doom and the upcoming Wolfenstein 2: The Colossus, does well, because I would love to see Bethesda show more support for Nintendo Switch. Maybe a port of The Evil Within 1 or 2. Maybe we'll get a port of Wolfenstein: The New Order and The Old Blood. I mean, after all, we're getting the new Colossus, so it would be nice to see that. And maybe, just maybe, they might bring over, hopefully Bethesda might bring over Dishonored and Dishonored 2 to the Nintendo Switch, and maybe even Fallout 4. That would be very interesting if they do bring that over. So hopefully Doom and Skyrim does well enough that we get those games. But overall, if you're looking for a game to play after you pretty much either beat Breath of the Wild, Skyrim is definitely worth a look at. Okay, this concludes my review or my thoughts of the Elder Scrolls Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? Is Skyrim worth a pickup again for the Nintendo Switch, or have you gotten sick and tired of picking up Skyrim though? Have you played the game yet? Have you enjoyed it though? Do you think the Switch version is the best version, or do you think the other versions are better? Does the fact that there's no mod support impact your purchase of the Switch version, or you don't feel that that's an issue, that's a non-issue for you though? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree with what I said? Do you have a different thoughts or a different opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to. And feel free to donate to my channel if you like. It could be either through PayPal me or Patreon. Links in the description of this video though. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, I wish you all a Good evening then. Bye.